Hi! Today I'll show you how to make rolls at home that are just as good as the restaurant ones, but more than half the price. For this, we'll need round grain rice. The cheapest kind will do. I used Krasnodar rice. Rinse it under cold running water. Rinse and gently mix it with your hands. Don't overmix it. The starch will come off that way. You need to rinse it 3 times. Rinse and then just drain the water. How do I repeat? Just gently mix it. You can't rinse it for too long, either, because it will start absorbing water and eventually overcook. The third and final time. The water will become less cloudy, meaning the starch is coming off. You need to spread the rice evenly so you can measure it clearly when you pour in the water. I measure by hand, so I don't use any measuring cups. Here, I have about 900 grams of rice. I measure it on my fingers. When my fingers are practically covered by water, that's the right amount. But I'm used to doing it this way. I've been doing it this way for a long time. Add a little more water. That's it. That's the right amount. Enough. About that much. I set the heat to maximum. Cover with a lid until it boils. The rice has boiled. You need to stir it so that it doesn't burn too much to the bottom. The trick is to do this quickly so as not to lose excess steam. After stirring, cover with a lid and leave for 15 minutes on minimum heat. "15 minutes have passed. Just remove from the stove and put aside for another 15 minutes. Do not open the lid. Here is the cooked rice. I pour it into another container. It's better to mix it with vinegar this way. You need 200 milliliters of vinegar per kilogram of raw, that is, uncooked rice. I have about 900 grams here, that is, vinegar. Well, roughly by eye, I'll pour something between 180 milliliters and 150 milliliters. Pour the rice in carefully, don't crush it under any circumstances, but slowly, as if taking it out from underneath, shifting it. I pour vinegar over everything. I try to pour it evenly, so as not to pour it in one spot, but completely over the entire rice. This will make mixing easier. You also need to stir the rice carefully, that is, as if turning it over, so that the vinegar is distributed completely throughout the rice. But don't crush the rice. You'll clump it together, and then the rolls made from it won't turn out well. After the rice is completely mixed, set it aside and cover it with a towel so that it doesn't lose moisture, otherwise it will dry out and become hard. That's it, you can put the rice away. For the rolls, I'll need cucumber. In restaurants, they remove the core, but I won't remove it. I'll just slice it completely, as I would at home. I cut it into strips of about this thickness. For one roll, I also used smoked pork belly. I like it better than bacon. I cut it in half. This will give me the right length to make a nice, beautiful roll. The fish is lightly salted trout. I bought it on sale. I froze it completely. It cuts much better frozen. Now I'll lower it a little lower. This will make cutting easier because my hand won't be resting on the table. You need a very sharp knife to cut it. Frozen makasu makes neat layers. If it were defrosted, it would tear. I wrap the makasu in plastic wrap to prevent the rice and nori from sticking too much. I greased it a little with cream cheese. This will also prevent the roll from sticking and will make it easier to roll. Here, I carefully lay out the rice. You don't need to press too hard. Just spread it out and that's it. Creamy curd rice. Cucumber. I used about 120 to 150 grams of rice for this roll. When you roll it, you need to hold the nori with your fingers on this first turn so it lays down correctly, and then you calmly lay it down. Pressing the edges. Just put the fish on top. So, it turns out that I cut that piece. I got 3 Philadelphia rolls. And there will be some fish left for the roll inside. Press the edges again. This will make it more beautiful and aesthetically pleasing. I'll make another roll with cream cheese too. Cucumber here too. When you roll the roll, don't press too hard. You're just shaping it, creating its shape. If you press too hard, the cheese will kind of leak out of the edges of the roll, squeeze out. So don't press too hard. I spread cheese on this roll on 3 sides and on top. The cheese will act as a kind of glue. I get smoked brisket. You see, the pieces are just the right length. And half. The cheese helps the brisket stick well to the roll. It won't fall off when you eat it later. Dip it in soy sauce, or hold it with chopsticks. This roll will still have chicken inside, so I'm using less cheese. I didn't show how I made the chicken because the video is already quite long and I didn't want to drag it out. I simply cut it into strips, marinated it in soy sauce for literally 5 to 10 minutes, and pan-fried it. The chicken was thin and marinated quickly. Form it, tucking in the edges. Salt. I first pan-fried it on. All sides, making sure there were no empty spaces. And then simply press it down. It sticks well to the rice. This roll will have the nori on the outside. The rice will be on the inside, like a light Philadelphia roll. And I'll do something like that. When I distribute the rice, pay attention to how the stripes on the nori are arranged, that is, horizontally. Cheese. Cucumber. And you get the scraps of that very fish that are left over. They're really unsightly on the outside, but they fit perfectly inside. I'll leave the list of ingredients and the cost for all the ingredients in the description and in the pinned message to the video. It turns out that I got everything with less than 1,000 ingredients. When you roll this roll, you just need to moisten the nori and what's left with boiled water. This way, the nori will stick well and won't stick. The edges are also curled. The last roll turns out like kapamaki. You need to put very little rice here. 80 grams, maybe 100 grams. You don't need to put a lot, it turns out. I use sesame seeds and cucumber. You also roll it, shape it, make it into shape, then moisten it with boiled water. I'll move it a little. The rice sticks together well. Coarse vinegar. I'll show you how I cut it on 2 rolls. The knife should be very sharp, and its blade should also be moistened with boiled water. This way, the rice won't stick and the rolls will be neatly cut. Don't press too hard on the roll when you cut it. No matter how you cut, don't press too hard, because you'll crush it. When you cut, it's smooth and cuts well. I had this roll on top, but I decided to drizzle it with teriyaki sauce and sprinkle it with sesame seeds. It tastes better and looks prettier. The presentation is beautiful. Done. At the cheapest place in Tumen, these rolls, this amount, cost over 2,500 rubles. Mine were over 1,000 rubles cheaper. The rolls hold their shape well and are firm. The rice sticks together well and doesn't fall apart in soy sauce. Like and subscribe. If you'd like to see some of your recipes and would be interested in me doing something different, let me know in the comments. I might do it. Thanks for watching.